What's up? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are so excited for another episode of Into the Unknown with myself, BC Serna, and Gerard Adams. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us and join on these beautiful conversations that we are delving into every single day as fathers, as brothers, as leaders, as husbands, and friends. And just excited to explore these questions. The reason we started this podcast is me and you were going into the unknown, into actual
unknown.
Yeah, actually into a dark forest together in the middle of the night, and we were chanting this chant into the unknown, and it became this like mantra for us. And then the conversations we started having around fatherhood, brotherhood, and manhood just were so, I think, cathartic for us. Like we just felt like, man, there's a safe space for men and brothers and fathers to have this conversation. And we were like, man, I bet other men and maybe even women would love to listen in on some of these things that we talk about, some of these conversations. And so this is where the podcast series was birthed. And so please give us as much feedback many questions as you want, as much feedback as you want. This is truly for men to find a sacred place, to feel seen, to feel like there's a place they can have these conversations and emotions and process what they're navigating. And then maybe for women to find a little bit of understanding into their husbands or their kids' fathers, or to your brothers or your own dads. So welcome back. You're back from Burning Man. This is amazing. Welcome back. You made it. And I'm sure this experience, this is your second time going, but I know, man, you're probably still integrating a lot of it. You're probably still like chewing it up and processing what kind of transformation happened for you out in the Playa. But one thing that stuck out that you talked to me about was this theme of intimacy, right? Do you want to talk about that a little bit, about what did the Playa provide and teach you and nourish you with this time around?
Yeah, it's so amazing to be back home. And although there's so much focus on this mud apocalypse, and I have so much empathy and compassion for those camp leaders and volunteers and everyone that makes Burning Man happen, like it is remarkable. I mean, they literally build an entire city for 80,000 people. And it pretty much takes an entire year to make happen, right? All for this 1 week that is a portal. You feel like you're on another planet and that we're these UFOs known as human beings. And it's just this beautiful, hard experience that teaches you so much, you know. And I really look at life as a ceremony, and all the different chapters of my life and so many cool experiences I've been to, and this one is just like really, really special to me. And last year was my first, as you mentioned, and it was like it was completely into the unknown. And man, I'll never forget like the first time getting there. And similar to like, cause you've been to Peru, we've been to warrior retreats. Like, I don't know about you, but like when I went to Peru, when I landed, they lost my bags. And I remember having to go into the jungle with no bags, with no clothes, with no water, with no nothing. And I remember being like, oh, this is great. Like, this is what I came for, you know, like just to get really uncomfortable, right? To let go of the labels, the identity, the things that we put on, right? To allow our egos to have some form of class to an identity of some sort, right?
Yeah.
And it allowed me to kind of like surrender fully into God's will and God's plan and just step into the unknown of the jungle, right? And then, you know, work and commune with grandmother ayahuasca, and it was so special. And Burning Man is very similar to that. And in fact, my bags got lost. Like from the moment we landed and coming into Burning Man, Ashley and I, we kind of didn't want to go. We were like, a bunch of our friends, including you and Issa, we really wanted you guys there. Our best friends, Jenna and Phillips Ballard and Brad Ballard, pulled out. We were going to be in an RV with them. My best friend Adam Roa and his partner Vanya pulled out. Like Alexi Panos and Preston were pulling out, you know, and Preston ended up showing up for a few days, which was really cool. But just so many, I think Aubrey and Vi, you know, they pulled out. Like so many leaders, so many people from the community that I am surrounded with pulled out. And so there was a little bit of this like, yeah, you know what, maybe this is a year of focusing a little more on foundation and kind of, just not falling into that portal. And yet, like, we kept getting pulled in. And I remember when we landed first we missed our flight, then we lost our bags, then we got a flat tire on the road. And I haven't changed a flat tire in, like, I don't even know how long, right? Like 10, 15 years. And so I was like, are these signs that we're not meant to go?
Yeah.
But I just remember being like, all right, like, lean into the resistance. We all know that, right? Like, when this kind of stuff happens, it's like, we've got to lean in even more, because on the other side usually is the growth.
Yeah.
And so I leaned in. I absolutely loved changing the tire, dude. It was just, that was primal for me. And it just was like, I kind of was like, yeah, my girl gets to see me. Cause dude, I live a comfortable life, bro. We have a fucking mansion. I got a nanny. I got house cleaners that come twice a week. I have, I have basically like chefs. Like I have it all, And so we live a beautiful, comfortable life by design. So I have to create uncomfortability. I have to seek discomfort and create it in my life so that I don't get too comfortable. And so when that happened, I'm like, yeah, baby, let's go. And my girl got to see me and how I handled that. But one most beautiful moment for me was actually, was changing the tire, and she got to see me fix that. But the other was when we went into Walmart to go and get some supplies before we head to the Playa. And there was this stress that was upon us, right? We were just like stressing out about whatever. And I got this hit, man. And again, it was just like this primal masculine moment where I just got to be like, oh man, I'm going to do this. And I just pulled my girl into the freaking aisle, right? And it was like a candy aisle. And I looked at her and I was like, look, I know we're stressed out. I know we're somewhat regretting going, right? And this is before I called you to pray with me. And actually, no, this was after I prayed with you. So like, I actually, guys, as I was in my breakdown, I hit up BC and I was like, dude, can you just please pray with me, man? Like, I'm going through it, you know? And that's what I love about our friendship, our brotherhood. If you don't have a friend that you can like pray with, like, I mean, like really pray, vulnerably crying, let it all go, and have a brother pray over you. Like, this man will pray over you like you've never been prayed over. Like, that's why I really fuck with him so heavy. And so he prayed over me. I pulled over because like I was pissed off because I went to rent the car, man. And they just like, I don't like surprises they seem a little schemy. And like when I got the rental car, they hit me with this like huge surprise fee because I was going to Burning Man with the car. And it was like, yeah, I don't mind paying it, but I hate when they try to do that. And rental car places do that every freaking time.
Yeah, the integrity of it.
Yeah, the integrity of it is the principle. I told my girl, it's like, it's just the principle, And it just, so it was like, that was another thing, right? And so I appreciate you praying over me. And so we get into this Walmart. We're in this aisle. My girl's a little stressed out. She feels the energy too. And I just pulled Ashley into this aisle, man. And I looked her in the eyes and I was like, listen, honey, I know we're stressed out. I know that like we feel like we shouldn't be going, and let's just let our little kids out. What would we want for Skyla if Skyla was going to Burning Man for the very first time? We would want Skyla to have the most amazing time of her life and to just allow herself to be free of any worry and to just allow herself to go out and play and also know that she's safe. And so I was like, you're safe. I got you, babe. I want to see little Ashley come out and play, and I want little Gerard to come out and play. So let's just step into the most abundant version of ourselves, and let's just play. Whatever you want right now, let's grab it. You want that candy? You want this thing? Let's just make it happen, and let's just let it go. Who cares? We're here. We're doing the damn thing. Let's lean in, and let's have fun. And that was like a really powerful moment for her, and it felt really good for me to activate that masculine energy to bring that safety to her.
Yeah, that's certain, man. Women love that, man. That like check-in where like I got you no matter what, and just even to like stop the moment, to pause the moment, to look in the eyes and just be like, hey, I know there's chaos, but we got this, like that's so powerful. Yeah,
man. Like if you have not done this in a while, or maybe you have never done it, I just invite you to like the next time you're in chaos, and we're going to go into this a little bit in the show, because like when we were getting ready to do the show, BC and I were in the sauna this morning, and there's chaos all the time, guys. Like, right? Like we're building businesses, we're building movements. We have, kids, we have families, we have the world, we have our personal brands. Like we have so much, right? Like there's chaos all around.
Always.
Right? So it's like we have to figure out how to like really be the eye of the storm. But next time you have that chaos with your lady, man, I'm telling you, just if you pull her and you grab her by the arms and you look her dead in her eyes and you just, in the most loving way, remind her that like everything's gonna be okay. You got this. You got her. Man, that will turn her on. I guarantee you, she'll feel so seen, so protected, and being able to just like let go.
Yeah.
And so that happened, brother. And my intention, because like, you know, it's always about intention, was intimacy. And so I wanted to talk to you about this. I wanted to kind of understand a little more about what your journey of intimacy was, because I didn't set this intention, if I'm being honest, with the idea of like, oh man, like I really need to work on my intimacy. It was kind of like just me, I don't know. It was like, I just remember just like kind of like meditating, like, well, what is my intention? I don't know. And I was like, well, I guess like I do want to have more intimacy with Ash. We've been struggling with that, you know, as new parents, just sexually and intimately, like romantically, like there's just like a lot of this energy of almost sometimes like brother sister energy or like mom and dad energy, you know. And it's like, hold up, like I want to feel this wild sexual flirtatious energy again, and we've been missing that a little bit. And so I kind of was like, well, let me bring some intimacy back into our relationship. And I also wanted to go deeper into my relationship with God always. So if I'm going to do something and I'm going to take time away from my daughter or my family, like we're going there. So I was like, into the unknown, I want to get closer to you, God. And then into the unknown with me, which I didn't realize that part was going to reveal itself as a pattern that I uncovered on this journey into Burning Man, which has been actually wanting to get closer to men and be in closer relationship and friendship with men, especially strong, conscious men. But when I'm with them, I can be present. But when I am not in person, I tend to put up my shield, put out an arm, and not let people get too close to me. And I recognized it in so many little ways at Burning Man, so many ways. And I started apologizing and owning it to some of the guys that were at Burning Man last year that throughout this past year have been trying to be in connection with me, have been trying to build a relationship with me. And although we bonded so much at Burning Man last year, the truth is I kind of, like when I grew up, we used to say shun, like I kind of shunned them. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of like, I feel like I pretty much probably made them feel unimportant. And I probably have done that to a lot of people, maybe even someone who's listening to this. And I take ownership of that. I've probably made a lot of people feel unimportant to me and that you're not a priority. And I've hurt some feelings and maybe even come off as a dick, an asshole.
Unintentionally, yeah.
You know, pretentious, better than, all that kind of shit. And really what it was underneath was just a scared boy, man, a scared little boy that was like scared of being taken advantage of, being let down, you know, and just someone, just thinking of the worst and having that fear of like those two main things, getting hurt, being taken advantage of, being let down, or being the one to let others down. And then what ended up happening is I started sabotaging and pushing away the thing that I actually want most, which is at this chapter of my life, which is true brotherhood with other conscious kings. And so I just owned it in this burn. And I started going deeper, and we can talk more about what that looked like. I ended up having the most epic workshops with John Wineland, fucking activating intimacy with Ashley, like letting my wild side out, creating space for her to let her wild side out, and learning how to throttle my wildness and her wildness, also with our heart, the masculine, the feminine. And then just started bonding with men, man, especially John Wineland, who's like an epic masculine embodiment coach. And so, yeah, bro, it was an amazing journey. And so thank you for asking, man. And I'm curious, like, what that brings up for you as you think about intimacy and your journey with intimacy, especially when it comes to men.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's layers to the whole burn, but just even that first layer of the awareness of it. And like you said, I think everything you do, it's all an investment in yourself. It's all an investment to God. It's all a sacred, where it's like, if I'm leaving my daughter, if I'm leaving Phoenix, it's got to be for good reason and good purpose to become better for them. That's the goal. Like, we're just trying to find this growth edge for us so that we can lead our kids to the furthest edges of this life, of this world, of this human experience in the healthiest way. But yeah, same, man. I didn't go to the burn this time. Issa didn't go. We just had a baby 6 weeks ago.
Yeah,
so
you wanted to so bad.
I know. I
too.
almost did. Issa definitely gave me the green light. She was like, "Yo, if you want to make it happen, make it happen." And just didn't happen. But yeah, 6 weeks in for the second child, and yeah, man, just learning. Obviously, intimacy is such a powerful word. It's so vulnerable. It's this word that, like, you definitely don't think of a man when you think of that word. You definitely don't think of that word too often, but man, when it comes to, we're emotional beings and we love, like, dude, something you said the other day, you were like, I just love going to my mom's house. You're like, I love just being at my mom's house because the intimacy, like the safety of being around your mom and your dad, and like same with me. And just intimacy is like, the Phoenix comes up or Skylar comes up and just we just hold them, man. And so, yeah, it's played a huge role in my life with brotherhood, with fatherhood and manhood. Obviously being intimate with myself, being vulnerable with myself, being like stripped down naked to myself, and then inviting my queen into that, Issa, and, just showing her like the intimacy idea of like, into me, I see. Have you heard of that? Like how it breaks apart. And it's just like intimacy. What it does is the reflection I see in you helps me see me better, And that's the goal of like everything that we do with my partner, with our friends, with our kids. It's like, all right, how do I see the light in myself better? Like, right. And so that's the goal, is to have this intimate encounter with God and with people that is, everything is sacred. Everything is emotion, based around the most rawest part of our human experience.
Yeah, bro. Thank you for sharing that, man. And it's cool the way you described it in regards to going to Burning Man, because a lot of people see the partying aspect, and it's literally the most epic party in the world, on the planet. And like, it really is
the most sacred thing on the planet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you can, and I'm sure there's people that go there that just fuck with drugs and just want to get, there's all the darkness there too, just like the real world. And it's just filled with such freaking beautiful opportunities for breakthrough and transformation. And, yeah, man, that into me, I see. And like the idea, it reminds me, because when we got there, again, that was my intention. It reminds me of like one of the first things that our camp leader did. Shout out to Gerard Rogers, the most amazing dude. Him and his wife, Maya Rose, man, the level of embodiment and vulnerability that they held a sacred workshop around sacred sexuality. And like, I've never seen anything like this, man. Like it was really special. And the first thing that he did when we got to the camp was create an eye gazing exercise.
Wow.
Now, a lot of these people I never met before. Our camp was about 120 people. But man, that moment where you do that eye gazing, and it could be somewhat uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But just the more you're doing it and you're breathing through it, and he kind of did some prompts that was like, allowing you to see yourself through this other person, see the sacrifices they've made, see the challenges that they've made in their life to get to where they are, see their ancestors and the sacrifices that they have made, and how this person has overcome struggle, how this person has, created triumphs in their life. And I was paired up with, the first person was her name Tracy, this amazing wife of this dude, Dan, that's like, he has this abundant leadership group that's like blown up, and he's a huge real estate investor, and they're a power couple, these two. They flew in on a private jet. I'm like, I didn't know any of this, by the way.
Yeah.
And what was cool was that like, I didn't have any of that. So I'm looking at her just from a soul level. And I think a lot of times, because especially with social media, like we know so much about certain people, or we have so much conditioning and programming that we have these labels, or we have these judgments. And if we can practice intimacy from a place of letting go of any of the judgment and seeing people just as they are, as human beings, that are on this journey just like you are, that have overcome struggle, that are going through struggle, and see them the way that Jesus sees us, see that God sees us. And
Yeah.
I think that like intimacy allows you, when you really lean into it, it's one of the hardest things I think we can do,
Yeah.
is to create intimacy with our partners, with our team, with our kids, with strangers,
Yeah.
looking someone in the eyes and letting go of any preconceived notions or any judgments, and just truly seeing them through the eyes of God and through Jesus and through Christ. Like that's the goal, man.
Yeah.
Right? Like if we
It's
could do
almost
that,
like the armor's removed, you know, like we have our armor, our ego protects us. So like we have the success, the money, the facade, the followers, and it's just this armor, you know, like a knight. And the intimacy is just removing each piece of armor and inviting people into the struggle and the pain and the tribulations we've been through. And it's just when you get all the armor off, all these identities, all these egos, you just see a little kid standing there that just had armor on the whole time. And so anyway, you had this connection with this girl. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Burning Man. Like I said, I haven't been, but what I know of Burning Man, the stories, is nothing but magical. I've never heard a bad story. I've never, whatever the media is painting it, whatever people are trying to paint it, I've heard thousands of transformational, like I'll never be the same again. I'll never look at life and love and community the same again. And so what you were saying is the beautiful thing is Burning Man evens the playing field, to where like no matter who you meet, where you meet them, you can meet I don't want to say the president, but you can meet someone really important, really powerful, really maybe famous, really successful, and no one cares. Like it's like, yo, come in and share food. Everything's free there. Everything is barter. And I think that is like
gifting.
It's gifting. And it's like our soul just takes a breath that no one can give anyone anything there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all gifting. So someone's like, oh, you need water? Oh, you need ice cream? Oh, you need whatever it is. It's like, it's all this culture and the frequency where everyone's on the same page. Everyone's on the same playing field. So it calms your nervous system to know that when you are lost or you are hungry, you can literally go up to anybody's RV in camp and be like, so sorry, I can't find my camp. Can I have a water? Can I have some food? Can I have some snacks? And someone's like, yes, of course. Are you okay? And it's just like, man, what that does to us.
Yeah. What's really cool about it is like you opened up asking me about like, oh, so how did the Playa provide? And a lot of people have described Burning Man as a microcosm of the entire human experience in 1 week. And it's this amazing human spiritual experience. And like when you say the Playa provides it to me, like that land is so sacred, and it truly is a sacred land from the period Lake tribe. It's an Indian Native American reservation by a peyote. I'm not know how to pronounce it correctly. Peyote tribe, and so it's this unbelievably sacred land. And so the Playa provides to me is God providing, and it's this beautiful reminder there that like God has our back, and whatever it may not be what we want, but you're definitely gonna get what you need, right? And it's the same when you go to Mama Peru or you go to Mama Bali or you go to these different places around the world. This land, this earth is sacred. It is what God has created that is the most beautiful creation that is meant to support all of humanity. And we forget that. And I think that allows us that reminder for me when I go to the Playa, allows me to remember my wholeness, how whole we are. Because when we can come into the sacred from a place of the sacred making us whole, we are sacred, we are whole, we have everything we need, right? And aligning truly to God as the ultimate creator, as the ultimate father, as the ultimate mother, as the ultimate provider for us. Like, okay, from that place, you're right, our nervous systems can relax. Now, how do we go out and play and give and serve? And
Connect,
and there's those moments where you do need to, I mean, there's a balance. And I felt like I've been understanding more of what it means to be a protector, what it means to be a provider, right? What it means to be a producer and a partner. And so that there are moments where you do need to protect yourself. There are dark forces that are out there. You need to protect your family. There are moments where you have to, become self-reliant. That's one of the principles there at Burning Man. Like I've gone through some shit out there where I made some mistakes, not paying attention. And next thing I left my water bottle, I'm dehydrated, I'm deep Playa. I got to figure out how to walk back. Dust storm hits. And I'm like pleading to mercy to God, like, help me please get back, right?
Yeah.
And so there's humbling moments that God will kind of shake you to say, hey, don't take this shit for granted. This body I've given you, this land I've given you, this life I've given you, do not take it for granted, because it's extremely delicate and it can be, boom, taken like that. Yeah. And so
it teaches you the power of the human spirit, you know, to where like how long has someone fasted or midnight dehydrated, and just being like, we're so much stronger than we think we are, you know, and we're so much more capable than what we think we are. And there's like one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible that I talk about a lot, is where God tells you to go to nature, and you go to nature and you spend time in nature, and you see the birds eating in the morning, all the worms, and then you see the insects eating all the plants and the bees. And God says to us, goes, you see that I provide for everything in nature? What makes you think I won't provide for you? You know what I'm saying? Like God will provide enough for us and what we need, like you said, and just to come back to that reassurance that we're going to be taken care of, that living by faith, living by trust and surrender, you know. And so, yeah, the Playa is just a reflection, a micro reflection onto our lives, to what it teaches us about the human spirit, about our spirit, and about connection. And something that this episode we wanted to like kind of, we kind of talked a little bit about it, but we really wanted to invite people into the sacredness and the masculine energy of kind of anger and energy, a kinetic energy within the testosterone, within the man. We've heard obviously a lot of toxic masculinity talk. We've heard a lot about certain things about what men are and what, you know, all these different things and the energy about it. But we started talking about how, for me personally, I guess I'll start, is I remember when I would get angry and I would maybe raise my voice or just have a lot of passion, or maybe a little bit of anger, maybe a little bit of rudeness to my tone. And I'd feel so much shame and embarrassment. And I remember being like, oh man, like you can't get angry, BC. Like, you know, Jesus didn't get angry. You know, you can't be spiritual and be angry. And I remember the shame made it worse. And then one time I was like, wait a second, anger is beautiful. And anger is like passionate. And anger is sacred. And Jesus did get angry. You know, he flipped these tables. And like to not ever shame ourselves for whatever we experienced. Obviously, we have to sometimes go inward and be like, okay, why did I get angry? But also not being afraid of it. And not being afraid of friction and confrontation, right? Like our iron sharpens iron, right? That's biblical, where it's like we are supposed, like, you know, you're a lifelong friend when you finally get into like an argument with a friend or a partner or a family member, and it's just like, it's so almost cathartic to be like, you know, it's so easy to fight, to get in an argument with like a friend and then be like, I'm never seeing you again. You know, like, that's the easy way of life. But when you're like a brotherhood, you know, when you're a father, when you're a partner, like you take the hard route of like, yo, this is hard and yeah, we're butting heads, but let's get through it together. And I think that's where we wanted to go. And I remember this morning we were in the sauna doing a little bit of prayer, meditation, reflection, and you were saying that you were watching this show with this football player that had this like anger come up, but he learned how to release it and move the anger and not suppress it. I think a lot of situations people get into that are dangerous or extremely unhealthy is when you suppress the anger and you don't allow it to release, and you're just numbing it with alcohol and drugs and pornography, and like you're doing whatever you can to not allow the testosterone or the kinetic energy to just move. And that's where it gets dangerous and unhealthy. And what this football player did was, you can tell a story a little bit, but you said it was beautiful to witness this leader, this kind of like everyone, all eyes on you, man. Like the entire world was watching this guy. And then you saw him come back around to the humbleness of like, I'm bigger than this. I'm bigger than this anger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is like a whole beautiful journey, the alchemy of our sacred rage, our sacred anger. Man, you hit the nail on the head, like how powerful it is when we can like truly alchemize that and then actually be able to harness that. And for me, I'm still learning, to be honest. Like I was this morning hitting a punching bag and just like, man, I don't even know if I'm angry about anything, but I just want to like freaking let out some of this steam and let it, you know, just get into my body. And next thing you know, I was like, whoa, I'm starting to feel some things that were underneath from my past that I was like just letting it go, and it just felt really good. And it seems to be something that's really present, because last night I was watching Hard Knocks. My favorite team, the Jets, is on the Hard Knocks, and I'm watching the team, and there was just a huge breakdown on the team. Like quarterback is just flipping out because they run 3 wrong routes, they're dropping balls, false starts. Like the team is upset, and the quarterback is just, pissed, man. And he starts cursing. Fuck this! I can't believe it! Like he's just on the show. You can tell, like he just lost his shit, right? And then you just see how it went from him releasing the energy of being truly frustrated and angry to harnessing it and then saying and having a choice. And that choice can either be you stepping into being a creator or being a destroyer. He could have easily destroyed the team in that moment, right? Blame it on everybody, beat everybody down, be a victim, and maybe even get violent, which is what I grew up with, violence, anger turning into violence. But he harnessed it, and he dealt with it. He put voice to it. He expressed it, harnessed it, and then boom, he led. He started all of a sudden leading the team. Hey, you could do this better. Hey, how about try this? How about try that? Hey, everyone huddle. And he got a huddle together. He started mentoring and being a team player and alchemized it from what was actually turning out to be a complete mess and chaotic team to then everyone coming into harmony, learning from it, and then moving forward and scoring touchdowns. And I was like, wow, that was like such a dope presentation of how to be in relationship with anger and use it in a way that can then turn into passion and actually turn into the results that you actually want versus it turning into resentment and violence or worse.
Yeah, I know. I think sometimes people talk about bad emotions, like anger or sadness. Sadness is not bad. Sadness is beautiful, and it's part of the human experience. Anger is sexuality. And we've kind of been into this world, this culture where we're just like, hey, suppress your sexuality, suppress your sadness, suppress your anger. There's these bad emotions, and no emotion is bad. And as men, like 75% of all suicides is men. And I think that women have this invitation and emotional ability to connect with friends, to ask friends for prayer, to have a women's group. And our prayer and hope for this podcast and this movement of men in this conversation, I mean, I'm sure there's men listening to this being like, oh my God, wow, like I'm not a piece of shit because I'm angry. It's just something I need to feel and also understand and learn how to dance with, And so a spade is a spade. Like, when I get angry and I get mad, there's moments where I can apologize, to whoever it is, to my team, to Issa, to you. And then there's moments where I'm like, I'm not apologizing for the passion I had behind that anger. But maybe if I said something like, you're a bitch on the basketball court or something, but I'm not going to apologize. Like, I'll tell Issa's like, oh, that was kind of intense what you did to the team or to the people you mentor. And I'll be like, Issa, like, I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I'm not going to change myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just part of me. And forever I tried to figure out if I was broken or if I needed to change my personality. But as much passion I have for like changing people's lives and ride or die, like I'll fucking be at your house at 2 a.m. if you need someone to hold your shoulder and pray with you. Yeah, you really will. The passion I have coincides with the swing of anger I have. And sometimes I get like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to say like I'm a dick or I'm a jerk, but like I'm very blunt and I'm very honest and I'm very passionate and like.
Well, there's a difference also in being direct, because I used to think that Ashley is so fucking mean, like cold-hearted, like heartless. I'm like, you just seem sometimes like you're just like absolutely heartless, cold, mean, right? And I can even kind of take it as like, why are you so mad? Why are you so angry? And by all means, I have this too. So yeah. But I'm just saying. What I recognized and what she inspired in me was that like being direct doesn't need to mean it's not mean. Doesn't need to mean that it's anger. You're just passionately direct. And it helped me to learn how to be confrontational and direct in a way that works versus the way that can actually like truly be destructive to the relationship or be irresponsible.
Yeah, like the unhealthy boundaries and just trying to figure that out with your partners, with your kids, with your with your teams, with your, whatever it is, but just learning how to dance with it all. It's you dance with your sexuality, express vulnerably to your partner what your sexuality is like, dance with your anger, dance with your shame. Like, we just need to learn how to move emotions. And then also, as men, be direct and find that balance. And I think that's what we're talking about a lot with the sacred masculine is the balance, is the invitation for a man to call another man and ask for prayer if he's, going through a loss of the family member or a heart divorce or a breakup. And at the same time, invite men to be like, all right, let's go to the gym tomorrow at 6 a.m. You're struggling. Well, let's move, let's pick each other up too. We're on the we're on the battlefield as men. If you're shot on the battlefield or you fall on the battlefield, other men have to pick you up and carry you back to the home base. And so we're not looking how to play small. I think we're in a spiritual war. Like, if you're asking me, I know this is maybe a topic, but I think there's a war, whether you're religious or not, there's a war between light and darkness. And there's a war that men are taking their lives daily, like by the hundreds. Good men.
One of my best friends growing up just lost her brother, who fostered so many young men, like so many children. Like, he was a foster father. He was a police officer. Like, he was like such a great man. Yeah. And it's just like, wow, man, to be suffering to that and know that he was such a good man. It's like, it's happening every day.
Yeah. And the isolation of, like, you're on a battlefield and you're shot in the leg and some guy's like, I gotta go, man. Like, I can't carry you. I can't pick you up. We're teaching in our Western culture is that to kind of look out for ourselves and fend for ourselves. And in reality, the war that I believe is going on between light and darkness is fostering a new type of relationships with men. That's what the whole podcast and the whole movement we want to create is like, we're going to go on the battlefield with you and we're going to carry you off the battlefield and we're going to sharpen each other's irons and up level and uplift each other, and we want kings, man. We want to create royalty.
It's not even just, if that needs to be done. Yes. And I want to teach these men how to get up.
Yeah.
Right. How to be self-reliant, how to be able to get up, how to rise, how to step and embody your greatness. And, coming back to this idea of the anger and the sacred rage, like, one of the big distinctions for me is understanding what sacred means to me. And this was inspired by John Wineland. And it was that, sacred means that you have given yourself everything you need to the point where you do not need anything external to give to you what you necessarily need. And you're solid and whole in that. And that was like, whoa, that blew my mind, because I was triggered a little bit by like, wait, I have needs with Ash, I have needs with others, but no. It means like when you fill your cup, you're so devoted to your practice every day and to the safety that you create for yourself and your nervous system. For me, creating the space to not let my anger get to a place where it is uncontrollable and hitting the punching bag or going in my steam room and allowing that and creating somatic releases or cathartic releases, creating these opportunities to move my anger by hitting that pillow or calling my boy and like talking, like really going there with him and just finding healthy ways to dance, as you were talking about, with that anger, with that rage, and to give myself what I need, whatever that is. Even if that means I may have to disappoint others by saying no, and I can't do that right now. Even if it's with my daughter, I got to give to myself what I necessarily need. I'm responsible. No one else is responsible for this vessel except for me. And the more that I fill this vessel with the love, the divine love that it needs, so that I can channel God through this vessel, the more that now I can do the work that I'm meant to do at the highest level, which is what I want for the conscious kings that we're here to serve. So I want them to be able to serve at the highest level. I want them to embody their excellence, their greatness, their unfuckwittable energy. That anger will never control them. They are in control of all of those emotions. They feel them fully. They walk around, they grunt, they fucking feel it, they cry. They're in control of those emotions. And to the point where now they can carry themselves and carry others.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, for me, that was huge. And I struggle with this. And this is all new for me because I grew up with a father who has fucking rage. My dad has been my greatest teacher. the way that this man has been able to, and I know your father too. And for me, man, like, man, that rage, it was something I inherited. I didn't even know where it came from.
Yeah.
I was like, where the fuck is this rage? Why am I punching holes through walls? Why am I getting road rage? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do I want to fight all the time? And that shit's ancestral, bro.
Yeah.
My grandfather went to World War II. Who knows what his grandfather, who knows what my mom's great-grandfathers, what they went through. And then I got Native American in my DNA, where I don't even know what that tribe is from. It's like we all have come from these lineages of men who have had to survive, had to fight, and had to kill, had to do whatever it takes to be able to protect and to survive. And many of them lost their lives. Many of them lost their wives, lost their kids. Carnage.
Yeah.
And we're the first generation. This is like we are the new ancestors. This is the calling of this new community of conscious kings and men, is because like we are actually at a time now. There's never been a better time in history. There's no excuse anymore.
Yeah.
Our lineages have paid the price. We don't even know how good we got it.
Yeah.
My uncle laughs at me because it's like, in my mansion, I worked fucking hard for this mansion, but it was built on the shoulder of giants who fucking bled for me to be able to have this home and be able to have this life. And so I think when we can really honor those ancestors, honor that blood, sweat, and tears, and then honor our responsibility to steward this next generation in the way where now we are in control of that anger, and we have alchemized and transmuted it into the passion, into the purpose, into the service, into the love that our kids need, that the world needs. And from there, let's build our kingdoms. Let's build our conscious kingdoms that can last generations. And so that's what I'm about, man. And I'm excited because I feel like this just is new. Like, guys, I'm not talking because I'm like, I can't wait till I'm a grandfather one day being able to spit wisdom. It's cool to be able to share this now in our in our 30s.
Yeah.
You know, like, what is this going to mean for the freaking come up young bucks?
Yeah. Oh man, it's crazy. Well, in the spiritual realm, the way to look at it is our grandparents, our great-grandparents, they cleared out the field. They went in and they went through Great Depressions and wars, and they freaking like did a job they hated for 60 years. They cleared out all the fields. Us, we went in and we worked really hard, and we had to get through the little bit of the mud, but we planted all the seeds and we nourished it so it grows all this crop and this fruit. And the goal is that our kids go and play in the fields and build the new earth, build the heaven on earth, build the kingdom of, like, hopefully not knowing trauma or not being guided by it. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the adults right now, even 60-year-olds, 90-year-olds, are healing trauma, period. You know, hopefully our kids can enter into a world knowing how beautiful and important and needed and celebrated and expressive they can be, and then really work on serving the world, you know, and that's the goal and
honestly, like, I have a difference of opinion there slightly, in the sense that, because this is something new for me too, which is like, we all have trauma.
Totally.
And one of the things that I had to realize is, like, I can be as fucking conscious fuckboy as I want to be. Skyla's gonna have,
totally,
her own, right?
Totally.
And so how do we position them where, though, it's something that they can actually heal, like, easily, right? And to your point, I agree with, like, man, thankfully they'll never have to know the kind of trauma that our family and our ancestors, especially our ancestors, had to carry, right? They never have to go through that level. Yeah. And, like, whatever.
Or suppress it. They have
suppress it.
They have parents that are safe for them, and that's the goal, is where this home is for Skyla's safety. The mom and dad are safe, the family. So so I think I was trying to go with that in the direction of just, like, they have the resources and the tools. Yeah. And sometimes, me and you want to change the world. Truthfully, Gerard and I, we talk about changing the world all the time, and big, small.
Change. This is a big distinction for me recently too. Like, I not necessarily change, but I realize there's a distinction between change and transform.
Transform, yeah, totally. Yeah. But I'm saying that I feel like me and you, we talk about this, but sometimes we're also like, man, Skyla and Phoenix, man, like, those two, Like, man, those two will
forget
hopefully lead nations, lead movements. You know what I'm saying? And
Got
so
his first kiss already. I'm
yeah,
like, what's going on, man?
I know. Slow down.
down.
We're like, your feet are getting too big. But yeah, man, just really, you know, continuing to do the work to where we have hope in this world, man. You know,
sure.
Burning Man. Yeah. When you go to Burning Man, or you go to maybe a church conference, or like the volunteer day, man, we had this volunteer day at our church the other day, and there was like 6,000 volunteers in all of Charlotte. We were only a group of like a couple hundred, but like within 1 week, it was called Love Week. They packed like all these food for these single moms locally here in Charlotte. They sent clothes and food to Ukraine. Like, it was like this movement. And so the reason we're joining movements like Burning Man and this church Love Week at Elevation Church is because we believe the new earth, and we believe that we're truly supposed to be biblical and bring heaven to earth, that we came here so that we can bring this fragrance of freedom and peace and grace to every human being, and to live a life where we go back to heaven after this, go back to the soul, where our soul came from, and feel like, wow, that was the most incredible ride, man, of having purpose and emotion.
And in doing so, especially for men, this was another really powerful moment for me this past week. I met a man who, really, really cool dude. His family was from Bronzeville, Texas, which is where my grandfather lived before he passed away at 100 years old. It was like, Bronzeville's like this like small.
I've been there, yeah. New Bronzeville?
No, just Bronzeville, Texas. Okay. Yeah. It's just like this place that, like, you know, it's like near the border, and I couldn't believe it. In any case, highly successful, similar background where, you know, family of immigrants, and he had to make it. You know, his family sacrificed to be able to put him in a position to be able to succeed and build a business, and now he's such a great dude. And anyways, he told me that someone told him, and it impacted his heart, as to his greatest fear, and I want this to hit home for you guys to think about this, the fear of being on your deathbed, on your last breath, and then coming to meet the person you could have been that you didn't actually become. And he shared that with me, and I never actually heard that, right? Like the idea of like, imagine making it to that moment, man, and then you meet that guy.
Yeah, that's what they say hell is like.
Exactly.
They're like, hell is meeting the person at the end of your life you could have became.
Exactly, right? And so I don't want to meet that hell.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, this calling of conscious kings, this calling of men that are ready to rise into their kingdom, and that are ready to rise in creating this type of meaningful legacy for their families, for the world, like this movement that we're leading into is a movement where we all get to become that true greatest version of ourselves. So we never, like, well, at least try.
Yeah.
So that when we died, we knew we gave it our all.
Amen.
Like that to me, I heard another quote today that was like, if you chase perfection, you may never catch it, but you can catch excellence. Like you can catch excellence along the way.
Yeah.
That was on the Hard Knocks show. The coach said that to the team.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, if we chase perfection, we may never catch it, but we will catch excellence along the way. I'm like, yeah, I want to play at that level now.
Exactly.
You know, I want to play at that level.
Yeah. Yeah, truly. And that's why, you know, you got to lead by example, you know, of you can't lead anyone wherever you haven't gone. And I think a lot of people can talk online and can, you know, pretend to be leaders or, you know, difference makers, but you can tell when someone's authentic, when they're vulnerable and they're leading the way of like what it means to be a divine partner in sacred romance and sacred fatherhood, of sacred friendship. And that is like the tribe and the community. And that's what we're trying to magnetize right now, is we want to magnetize these conversations. We want to magnetize these reflections, man. Even if you're a woman listening to this and maybe something triggered you, maybe you love what we're talking about, or vice versa. If you're a man listening to this, we just want to engage with these conversations, and we want to invite people onto these shows, and we want to invite y'all into the comment section and to the feedback. Send us messages, comment on the podcast, on the YouTube video, and just let us know if this is healing for you, if this is medicine for you, if you want us to talk about our father wounds, if you want us to talk about our healing journeys, if you want us to talk about our faith with God, with Jesus, with...
What questions do you have that we can bring into this show? We want to know. So definitely let us know, because we're open books. We want to be able to share, and we would love to. And maybe some of the questions you have, we don't actually have the answers to, but what it will do is allow us to go out and find those answers, because we have so many powerful elders that we're surrounded by, that we're excited to collaborate with and co-create with and bring to you, and share the wisdom, because all this wisdom's not even ours anyways, right? It's all borrowed and passed down and passed through, and so we're grateful. Thank you for riding with us into the unknown. I do want to leave you guys with something practical, and that's like when we talked about sacred rage and we talked about this idea of alchemizing anger, dancing with anger. One of the things that I want you to share one, and I'll share one. One of the things that I do, and actually I want to share two. One is I actually love activating my lion. And the lion, I love playing with animal spirits. Sometimes I play with the wolf spirit, which I do with Ash. Sometimes I play with the butterfly spirit, or different things like that, you know. But the lion for me is my roar. When the lion roars, the jungle listens. And so I love when for me, I go into my steam room. You may want to do this in the shower, but creating, even if it's once a week, create a sacred container for yourself where you can let your lion roar, and find a place for you to be able to do that in a healthy way. And so for me, I do that and I let it roar. My voice actually gets a little bit shot afterwards, but I just let it all go. I'll think about things I want to release or things I'm angry about, and I'm just giving it a voice and giving that emotion a voice. And that to me is worked really well. And the other one that I'm practicing right now that I invite you into is just taking that and actually bringing that into your day to day. I actually have started to, John Wineland inspired this dude just grunts everywhere, bro. Like something will happen around him and he's picking up on that energy, and it could be a trigger, or it could be something that just annoys him, or just something passing by. Maybe it's something even internal for him. And I'm just guys walking around, or just different ways, different kind of grunts. And I'm like, oh man, I fucking love that.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, even around Skyla on our nature walk this morning, around Ash, I'm being a little more comfortable in my masculine and allowing that masculine to actually come out as if I was a fucking bear, you know? And so to me, try that on a little bit, try giving that a sound a little bit. And
it's primal, it's somatic.
How she responds.
Even during sex, man, we suppress, being quiet or being timid. And it's like, no, we need to be that primal, that somatic. It's energetic. It's science now. It's like, we need, they did this study where they talk about all these other animals. If like a gazelle is chased by a lion and it gets away, it shakes. And what they realize is the shake is not a scare. It's moving the energy of fear off of it. Like, have you heard about that?
Yeah, I heard that with a dog. Yeah.
And all animals in nature, they have some sort of response they have after a traumatic movement where they shake the energy off. It's not because they're afraid or they're cold, but they're actually moving the energy.
Wow.
And it's like they've proven that in the biological animal kingdom, and we are part of that. And so really,
you were telling me like even Black Panther, right?
Yeah, well, the kinetic energy, man. The movie Black Panther, there's this suit where someone kicks it or hits it, and it takes that kinetic energy. He doesn't feel it, and then when he punches someone, it pushes it into someone. And I've been feeling that so much lately about just moving. Obviously, I have a son now, so I get like either frustrated. Two sons, and I get frustrated, or I get tired, and you have to like move this kinetic energy around of like grunts of like this morning, man, I was like overwhelmed with little baby Croa crying and Issa needing my help and Phoenix playing with my camera gear. And I went into the other room and I literally like did like and I don't even know where I honestly didn't even go into the other room thinking. I went into the other room and made this really loud like roar, and it cleared the energy. I can't even explain it. And it was so beautiful. And I was like, I'm good. I got this. So if you're listening to this, yeah, that's a beautiful challenge of learning how to listen and move your body and get barefoot in nature and, and like just let loose a little bit like that. And then on my end, find out where my challenge to you, if you're listening to this, like a practical thing, is just find out where you have shame. Find out if you have shame when you have anger, or if you have shame when you have sexual fantasies or desires, if you have shame when you are triggered. Find out where the shame is coming from.
That's so good.
Yeah,
they don't talk enough about this.
Yeah, and just have grace for yourself, and just look at and you're like, man, I shouldn't have said that to that person. I shouldn't have done that. I just talked off the phone with my sister yesterday, and she had this really intense breakup with this guy, and she was beating herself up over how she like had this breakup, what she did and what she said. And I just let her know to have grace and forgiveness and patience with herself. you know, of like, yo, you were triggered and you did something, you said something, but just don't allow that shame to bury you. So if you're listening to this, we love you, we appreciate you.
Can I ask you though something on that part? Because I think it's really powerful, and I think, you know, you're reminding me, because a lot of times we can like learn how to move the energy, even in these like crazy primal ways, but we can forget that like not to actually fully integrate it. You know, where did this anger come from?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And is it shame, or is it like an actual real childhood wound?
Yeah.
Or like what's really there? And sometimes we can go and want to just move the energy, but then we didn't actually deal with the thing,
root of the problem.
root.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, what do you recommend for someone who is, how does someone actually start to figure that out, right? Like, man, like, I think even for me, when there was a moment when I first started dating Ashley that I didn't realize, like, man, why am I so angry? Like, I was opening doors, and then the handle would kind of like create a hole in the wall, or, you know, I would be a little more angry on the road. And I was just like, it was hard for me to recognize where is this coming from? It's because sometimes it's so subconscious, you don't even recognize it. So like, what would you recommend to someone who may be in that state right now, where they're seeing that anger kind of come out, and it's coming out in an unhealthy way, right? It's not like the way that they're in control of it. How can you start to peel back and create more of the awareness of what that root is?
Well, a big thing is not shaming the person, and just like you're not shaming. So, you know, my sister told me what she did, and I could have easily, like maybe her friends did, and her friends do this, was like, oh, come on, you can't do that. You shouldn't have done that. That's embarrassing. And that just perpetuates the shame, right? But to create a safe space for the person or for yourself to feel the shame, you know, obviously, like, my sister had enough shame for herself that she didn't need someone else being like, come on, you can't do that. So giving a place of love, like, love is the only thing that really transforms anyone. So creating that safe space for yourself, being like, wait a second, there's just a 5-year-old version of me that was triggered. The goal in the healing space is not to never be triggered. The goal is to understand your nervous system. When you're triggered, you are a 5-year-old. When Issa makes me mad or does something and I'm triggered, what I'm saying is what a 5-year-old would say. And I feel so bad and stupid and embarrassed. But the goal is to hopefully not say what a 5-year-old version of BC would say. But
or
if you
behave as
behave. That's what I'm saying. And I already feel embarrassment after that if I like throw something maybe. The goal is to, if I do that, the goal is to reflect on like, okay, can I handle that better next time? Come on, dude. Like, so the goal is to regulate your nervous system. That's all what trauma is. Trauma is a dysregulated nervous system. You could tell subconsciously how someone's doing by look at someone drive or play video games. Like, you ever been dating a guy, if there's girls out there and they're like, this guy's nice and kind, and then he's playing a video game and he's fucking chucking the controller or yelling at the sports TV or yelling at someone driving? That's because that's their subconscious. That is their nervous system steering the wheel. And so calming the nervous system, learning how to somatically do breath work, how to somatically move energy, how to I'm triggered, I want to throw that remote control or I want to punch something, but to just use the somatic energy release of like yelling or screaming or walking in another room. Man, that's so important, man. If you got to try to get away from that 5-year-old when they're shamed or when they're triggered, and to have a moment to breathe and regulate. That's all trauma work is regulating your nervous system. And the more you shame someone, like in a relationship and romance, man, if I did something really embarrassing bad and Issa just belittled me and shamed me more, then you're just laughing at the 5-year-old, you know? So just learning how to have compassion and grace and forgiveness and realize that we're all trying our best. At the end of the day, we're all trying our best. And my sister did not need me to be like, come on, Shelly, you can do better than that. My sister needed to be like, dang, I'm so sorry he did that to you. And, you know, that's what he did. And I was like, did you apologize to him? She's like, yeah, of course I did. You know, so it's just really tenderness, man. And there are moments of iron sharpens iron, where you are tough love. So I do believe in tenderness, and I fuck with tough love. I'll be a fucking jerk to some people I mentor, my friends, where I'm like, come on, dude, you can fucking do better than that. Like, really? You know, so it's a dance. I don't want to say there's like
sometimes you need to kind of draw the line, and you need someone, and I've had friends that do that for me too, where it's like, Angie, you're not a little kid anymore.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
You're a grown man, you're a father, and you have you have the responsibility of how you show up and what the decisions you make for your woman.
Yeah.
right? Your wife is relying on you to provide that safety. Your wife is relying on you for how you show up. Your kids relying on you. They're paying attention to you. You're passing that on. Like, there is a moment where it's like, okay, like it's time to grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's time to forgive what has happened in the past because
Exactly.
it's not serving me anymore.
Yeah.
Carrying that resentment, that bitterness is not serving me anymore, right? I'm giving too much power to it.
Exactly.
And so it's like there is the line there where you get to like really choose into letting that shit go. And that's really difficult. And there's things you can do. And, that's where you can ask for the help. You can ask for the support. You can write the letter and burn the letter. You could, figure out ways and that are out there. And we're open to connecting with you if you're in that position. And that could be the greatest liberating thing that you can give to yourself and your family and your future and the people that have come before you, knowing that, what they went through, not knowing, right? And being the one, being the one that can break the chain and being the one that can heal that lineage, so that you can become the leader of your lineage. And so it's not easy work, but it is 100% worth it. I'm telling you, I'm living proof of it. And I'm so proud of that. And there's moments I slip up still. Of course, we're human. We'll always be human. We're all going to make mistakes, right? And learning not to shame ourselves for those mistakes. And we can be way more responsible now, and we can minimize a lot of that. Because, I realize, especially as a father, and for those that are becoming a dad or those are dads, those little things make a big difference. It could be one thing that you made that mistake, you made that slip up, and you can have compassion for yourself and you can do all that stuff, but it could have impacted your kid in a way where they're carrying that shit forever, because you had that road rage and hit something. It can lead to something that is devastating. The littlest moment of not having that control. So,
oh my God,
this work is the most valuable investment that you can make. Is in yourself, to have that emotional control, to understand how to process these emotions, to learn how to forgive, to learn how to love yourself so that you can love everyone else more. And so, like, it's not easy. We'll never walk a day in your shoes, but we're here to create a space for you. And if you are on that journey and you want to continue to rise in your greatness and rise as that conscious king and that sacred masculine, like, we are here for you, man. And I feel like this is only episode 3.
Amen.
This is good, bro.
I know.
So, man, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you guys that are paying attention to this. We're thinking about making this content exclusive, to make it a little more exclusive for the listeners, for you, the community.
We just want to make this container sacred too, where it's like, we want people to listen and we want people to engage, but we also, this is like deep waters. We're going into the unknown. I mean, there's people listening right now. Maybe, some of y'all, there's people listening that's maybe for the first time in their life, they've heard fathers talk about this stuff, or a man. And it's deep for people. So we're going into the unknown with you guys. Like we're sharing stuff that is extremely vulnerable and intimate for us. And so if you're on this journey, please just let us know. Give us feedback. Let us know. Give us opinions and ideas, questions, and we are going into the unknown with you.
Yes, sir.
So we appreciate you. We love you. We value you. And thank you for listening on this journey.
All right, guys.
Let's go.